If you've ever found yourself spiraling down a late night rabbit hole of what am I meant to do and why haven't I found it yet? And let's be honest, who hasn't? Then you're in the right place. I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗀𝗃, career clarity expert and 5-time certified career coach, and I'm here to help you navigate the question of how to find a career that truly lights you up. On Career Clarity Unlocked, we're all about those light bulb moments. I'm talking to people who are still trying to figure out what they're meant to do, coaching them live to reach that magical, yes, this is it moment. And we'll also hear from those who've already found their dream careers and figure out exactly how they did it. Whether you're looking for inspiration or actionable advice on finding a career you love, I've got you covered. Time to unlock some career clarity. Let's dive in. Welcome back. Joining me today are two absolutely incredible experts, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗁𝗧𝗏 and Katy Culver. Victoria became a career coach because she wanted to help others find a new role as painlessly as possible. She struggled in the market during her searches until she found ways to hack the market on repeat, and now she teaches others how to do the same. Previous business owner, she brings her strong personal branding, copywriting, and conversion skills to effectively help professionals market, brand, and sell themselves. Katy Culver is a career coach and mindset mentor for ambitious generalists in transition. She helps generalists across tech and consulting unlock clarity and confidence to transition to more energizing careers. Katy brings experience pivoting careers as a candidate, building ATS and recruiting tools for hiring teams, and coaching over 100 leaders. Her approach combines personal and professional development to help you act like the CEO of your career, clarify your path, and become a standout candidate to win the job search game. Welcome, Victoria, and welcome, Katy.
Hello, thank you for having us.
So excited to be here with you. And I want to kick it off with your personal journeys. Victoria and Katy, you've both navigated big career transitions in your life, and you've helped countless professionals to do the same. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset, and I would love to hear if there's any moments that you remember from your journey where your own mindset made the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. And what did that moment teach you? Victoria, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, and thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and I love both of you very, very much. Just huge fans of both Katy and 𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. I think I had a pivotal moment back in, I would say, 2021. So a little bit closer to like after COVID. And I just remember I was at a point in my life where I just felt really, really stuck. And I remember working at a particular company that I was working in, and every day I'd be listening to podcasts. And it's so funny. I was listening to like career podcasts on repeat of talking about like how to build your personal brand, how to navigate the job search, how to find the career that you're meant for. And just remember feeling so lost, like just super, super lost. And I wasn't going anywhere in life and wasn't in the best work environments, and just felt like I was living below my potential. And it was really those times of being stuck and really just feeling depressed and sad and anxious that I kind of got to a point where, like, if I didn't change, what was going to become of me? Like, what was going to become of myself, my career, and even like my kids, like looking up to their mom, what would they think if she never went outside of her comfort zone? And I think when you sit in those periods for a long time, you really start to realize like it's make or break. And from those times, I decided that I was going to actually take control of my career and really go into the next steps of figuring out like where my superpower is and the talents that I have and how I can bring those to a professional organization or go out on my own again and really shine. So it's been such a journey. It's been such a journey. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity of just like going forward and really taking harness of my mind and getting through that period and to be here with you all today.
Thank you for sharing that, Victoria. That is incredible. And I think there's so many people listening to this who might really relate to where you've been, feeling depressed, sad, anxious, living and working below their potential. And knowing that this is where you were 2021, that's 3 years ago, and how much your life, your career has changed. And that is an incredible inspiration for everyone listening that this is possible. Katy, I want to kick it over to you. Are there any moments that come to mind from your own journey where your mindset shift made all the difference?
Yes, I am excited to share this story. First off, thank you so much for having me, Teresa, and great to be here with you, Victoria. I want to go back, I guess, 4 years ago now. I was like in the throes of job searching. I remember it was approaching the holidays and I was like, oh my God, I need to get the hell out of this job. And I was just so burned out and ready for the next thing. And it wasn't until like April the following year. So I was well into my job search, 6 months in, and I had gotten rejected from a final round at DoorDash for the strategy and ops role. They reached out to me. It was the second time I interviewed, and I thought that I crushed it. I said exactly what I wanted to say in the interview. I remember I went for a run afterward and was like, wow, there's no way I don't get this job. And you know what happens every time, every time you feel that way, you never really know what goes down. So I didn't hear back from them. And I finally found out after weeks of badgering the recruiter that I didn't get this job that I thought was a shoo-in. And, I definitely cried. I definitely ate some cookie dough. And I kind of was like, what do I do differently? I prepared so well. There's nothing else that I would have changed. So I asked the hiring manager for feedback, and they don't always give it to you. But this hiring manager was kind enough to say, I talked to the team, and it sounded like you were a little bit robotic, a little too rehearsed in your answers. We wanted you to be a little bit more out of the box. To be fair, I don't think he used the word robotic, but that was what I took from it. And I realized that I had been trying to be so performative and to put on this perfect front in the interviews. And what I really needed to do was just be embodied and be myself. And that created a shift for me where I started writing about my journey on Twitter. I started getting reached out to because of that. I started building my personal brand there. And it was really empowering to own my narrative, share my story. And I showed up differently in interviews. Looking back at that time, I have screenshots in my phone saying, April is the month it all comes together. Like all these mindset quotes from Instagram that I had been just trying so hard to focus on. And it did. I ended up getting like 4 offers in 4 weeks during that month of April of 2021. And it was only because I was like, you know what, I've got to do something differently. And I felt more embodied and empowered to just be myself in the process. And so that was a huge shift for me and something that I emphasize a lot in my own teachings now.
I love this, Katy, of the shift. You've done all the things before that, are all the tactics, but the breakthrough was when you were not trying to be this perfect version and you embraced who you are and you got to be yourself. Oh, that is such a special story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Victoria, Katy you both touched on the job search and the job market. And Victoria, you hacked the job market and turned it into a repeatable system. What was one unexpected mindset shift that transformed your ability to land roles? And how do you teach the shift to your clients now?
Yeah, I want to say first, when Katy mentioned she got like 4 offers, like I literally got chills, and I'm not lying. I may be a little sick, but I did super get chills right now. So I just love that. And I think that's important for job seekers to recognize, because we hear a lot of the time, like, it's impossible. I can't hack the market. I can't do this. I can't do that. And we say it all the time, like, we know it's possible because we've done it, and we're not special. We are just human beings that we've worked really hard in our lives, but we know that if you apply strategies, it literally can happen. So I think that's really important to know. And I remember being in the market, and especially at one point of my career journey, it was getting kind of close to the wire. Like I had a mortgage and I'm a mom too. And I was like, cool, like I don't have a job right now. And it was hard. It was a lot. And the only thing that I knew that I could actually do during that point was really think about 2 things. So number one is I had to really make sure like my mind was in it. So it was like, I had to constantly be like listening to affirmations and training my brain to think of, you're going to get this next opportunity. And the hard part is like when you're going through it, it is hard to see that in results. Like you're just like, I don't know when this is going to happen. And it's almost like you're lying to yourself. Like, I'm going to get a job, and you just don't know. But the thing was for me is like, I knew you got to get your brain in it, get your brain in the game. So those affirmations, I literally felt like just embedded into me. And then the other thing I would do is I started to claim like, I'm getting a job. And I started to actually write down the date, like daily, every day, write down, I'm getting a job by this date. I had no idea like when that job was coming. But for me, I was like, I'm writing it down. I'm claiming it. I'm owning it. I'm doing it. Now, the thing is, I feel like mindset is one thing, right? So we're going to tell ourselves and we're going to get into the zone and we're going to try to like get our brain ready, but it only goes so far, right? Because like at some point you're going to need to go forward and you're actually going to need to implement those activities. So that was the other part, is I knew, okay, get your mind right, get all the ingredients, and then now you actually have to get in the kitchen and start cooking. And so that's when I knew that these activities and these actions that I would do, the biggest thing I could say to any professional right now is literally throw out your resume. I mean, you still have to apply with it, but throw it out. Don't rely on it. And literally network like your life depends on it. Because that was how I was able to land a job. That's how my life has changed. That's how I didn't go homeless, is I networked and I really made sure like we're going to make this happen. So I definitely want to get Katy's thoughts on this because I know she has a lot to say.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you said around using affirmations, programming your brain, like that stuff goes such a long way because how we view ourselves determines what happens in our outside world. I'm not going to get too into the weeds of that, but you can even just think of mindset from this perspective. I tell my clients, like your mindset, your identity, and your energy determine the actions that you take, the moves that you make. And so if you don't have that, then you're much more likely to not take the actions that are going to get you where you want to go. So one of the biggest shifts that I teach to my clients, I've learned it from one of my business coaches actually, who said, I'm responsible for my results, and take radical responsibility for your results in the job search. Even though there is so much that's out of your control, it's about focusing on what is in your control, the actions you take, but also who you need to become to get into your target role. And becoming so focused on what would that person do, the version of me who's already got the job, who believes they can do it, who knows it's possible, who knows about this industry, this function, what would they be doing? And that is having the conversations, you know, opening yourself, figuring out what podcasts are people talking about this industry on, where do I need to go and immerse myself and really become the version of myself that has the job, versus saying, it's not working, I don't know what else to do. It's taking that responsibility and being okay asking for help. I think so many people are thinking, yes, I know the job market's hard, but I'm smart. I've got a good network. I've got good companies on my resume. I should be able to do this by myself. And it's so okay to ask for help. And it's a sign of power and strength to say, you know what I'm doing right now, it's not working. And being honest about that, taking responsibility for something's got to change, and asking for help on that is such a helpful shift in the mindset or in the job search game.
I'm 100% on that with both of you. And two things really stuck with me is, Victoria, you said network like your life depends on it. And in your case, that was true. And in so many cases, that is true. Network like your life depends on it, because it does. And Katy, I love the visualizing yourself in the role and as someone who's already achieved what you're looking to get to, and then working your way backwards of, okay, what has this person done? And what are the things that I need to do to get to that state that I'm envisioning myself? So powerful. And Katy, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the job search. You've been a candidate and worked on the hiring team building ATS tools. So your insights are just absolutely incredible on that topic. But what's also a common mental barrier you see candidates facing during a job search transitions, and how do you guide them to overcome that?
Yeah, I love this question. So much of what I teach is like, yes, based on my experience as a candidate and struggling through it and figuring it out. But then as a result of that, that's why I went to go join a recruiting tech company, to figure out how the hell do these decisions get made on the other side of the table? Like, what am I missing here? And what can I learn from seeing how recruiters and hiring managers think about candidates? So when it comes to a lot of the mental barriers, the biggest one that I see by and large is this possible for me? People kind of have an idea of what they want most of the time. And there's sometimes a question of, is that possible for me? Can I really go for it and get after that role, whether that's, a more senior position, a different function, going from a big company to a smaller company, changing industries, any amount of change, people suddenly think, is this really possible? Most people that I work with, most people in the job market, it's like, yeah, of course you can do the job, but it's the getting it part that people are wondering, is it possible? And so the what I like to help people shift is from the question of, is it possible for me, to how do I make this happen? How might this be possible? What would need to be true? Because when you can stop questioning, is it going to work for me? You can start figuring out how it will work for you. And one of the ways to do that is, and one of the common like barriers that I hear from people all the time is, well, I don't have necessarily the perfect background or the perfect experience, especially a lot of generalists I work with who've dabbled in a lot of different things. It's, if you look at all of your work history, it's never going to perfectly line up with one specific role, right? And so the issue is that candidates struggle with selective storytelling. That's what I call it. Storytelling to handpick the most relevant components of your story and present that as your case for why you're a good fit for the role. And that is what the hiring team wants to see. They don't want to have to weed through the noise of everything you've ever done. They want to know exactly why you're a good fit. And that's going to help you make your story make sense, even if you've done a ton of different things. And so I would say those two things of stop questioning if it's possible, shift to how do I make this happen? And one of the ways to make it happen is being selective in how you tell your story and convey your experience.
That is huge. Love that, Katie. Selective storytelling is something I'm so big on, and I don't use the same term as you. I really call it the connecting the dots of your career story. So you can present to the hiring manager on a silver platter why you're the ideal candidate instead of throwing the kitchen sink at them.
Yeah.
Victoria, are there any thoughts that you want to add?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I think it's so true because, I mean, anytime you're on a job board, they are laying out specifically what they're looking for. And like Katie said, your background's not going to always be 100%. Like, it's just not. No one's going to fit the job description 100% at all. But what's important to do is really think about what exactly are they looking for? Like, really read through that job description to understand, do I have the experience that I can articulate to showcase that I am a qualified candidate for this position? And what happens is a lot of people will read over the job descriptions and they'll kind of dabble in it a little bit and say, oh, my resume is going to cover this and it's going to take care of it. But it really doesn't. Like, if you're not very clear on exactly where you're going and understanding, like, when you're pulling up these job descriptions for like your target role, if you're not aligned with that, your resume and how you articulate your career story is not going to be aligned, and you're going to be passed over. Even when you go to that process of networking, if your career story isn't crystal clear, like, why am I, as a hiring manager, going to spend all of my time trying to figure it out? I don't have the time, right? So I think that's really important. And I couldn't agree more with what Katie said.
It's huge. Yes. Hiring managers don't have the time to sift through all the things to see if you're a match. You really got to deliver that on a silver platter. And Victoria, I would love to hear from you. What is your advice for turning all those insights that they learn into action? And as we all know, life is going to happen. Motivation is going to dip. You might be leaving this on a really high and you're like, I'm going to make all this happen. And then life throws us curveballs. What habit do you recommend for someone to take or start so that they can keep going and actually turn it into action?
Yeah, so I love this question. And it was so funny. Today, for a short period, I was on listening to Gary Vee talk, and I've never listened to him before, and he's hilarious. I was like, this is some New York activity that in the South we're not used to. And I was like, I love this guy. But
oh my God, love Gary Vee. I have to throw that in there too. I listen to his podcast all the time.
So good. I've never heard him live, and I was just blown away. But it was this thing of like, there were a lot of people coming on and asking like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I think what I'm trying to say is like, they're overthinking so much. And his thing was, why are you thinking about this? Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And literally, I tell you, I spent probably 5 years of my life journaling what I wanted to do with my life. And it wasn't that I was like not taking action. I was just trying to figure it all out. And we've talked a lot about like messy action. And I think that it is so important to literally stop thinking about all the things. Stop tweaking your resume and stop trying to like have the perfect profile picture. Like, stop. Like, literally what you need to do is you need to find habits that will move the needle for your job search. Like, You can follow a lot of great coaches, Katy, Teresa, myself. There are so many great professionals that literally have done job search before. They've been on the recruiting end and they know what it takes to land a role. When you understand those strategies, you literally just have to implement. And one of the things that I think about is like this year I ran a solo marathon on like a whim. Like I had been training, but I never really would set a date. But what I would do is every time I would run, like I set my timer. So it'd be like, you're running for an hour. And those times that I wanted to stop, like when literally my body could not go and there was like a toddler walking faster than I was running at this point, like what I would say is if you stop, when are you going to stop the next thing? Because if you give yourself permission to like, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, that's going to bleed into the next thing. And you're going to give up way too quick. The repetitive daily actions equal results. And so I just want to tell job seekers, I know it's hard. I understand we've all been through hard things, but it's those daily actions. Do it the right way, do it consistently, and you will land a job. I got to hear Katy on this.
Okay, first off, everybody, like Victoria is the only person who runs solo marathons for fun on a whim. Like, don't worry if you're not doing that.
Yeah, I'm just crazy.
Okay, so no, it's incredible. I could never. Well, maybe if I really put my mind to it, but that's not a goal that I'm trying to hit tomorrow or next year. So my advice on this front is like, you're overwhelmed. There's so many things to learn. There's so many things you want to do. It is so about your day-to-day routines and habits. It all comes back to habits. So if you've never read Atomic Habits, please go look up a podcast or summary about it. But habit stacking is a great way to compile healthy habits. So for example, like if I go to the gym, then I'm going to go meditate in the sauna at my gym afterward. If I skip the gym, I might not be meditating that day because it's part of my routine. And so the things that you want to include on a day-to-day basis, you don't have to have a 15-step morning routine, but choose a few things that you can do back to back and it'll become easier and more autopilot to do it. Some things that I highly recommend everybody include to keep that motivation, keep that positive thinking high so you can take the actions you need to take is a daily gratitude practice. So simple. But just write down a list of 3 things you're grateful for. Literally every day. Continue to focus on the good, especially when you're in the gap, I like to call it, in your job search. When you're focused on like, oh my gosh, what's not working? Find the things that are working. Make a playlist of motivating podcasts. Look up self-talk rampages on Spotify. Like you can find so many amazing tools to continue to stay in this high vibe energy along the way. And the one other best habit that I would recommend is figure out how to do deep work. When I say deep work, that's like focused work. Figure out your time blocks where you don't have distractions. You are going to gain so much confidence when you commit to doing deep work and actually do it. I know this because I've had periods of time where I do it and other periods where I let it fall to the wayside. You will make so much progress if you take 2 hours fully focused and make that a habit.
I have to interject here because I do want to speak to this about Katy. Like we went to a mastermind in Cancun and I got to be Katy's roommate, which was really cool. She's just cool. And I was just like, I'm not the cool person anymore. Like Katy's awesome. But one of the things, it was just so interesting. Day after day on repeat, she would set her alarm and then she would wake up. She did not like reset her alarm. She got up. Her routine was she went to the gym, she went for a walk, whichever. She wrote down her goals, put together action plans, like meditated. And I started, and I'm telling you 100%, like I started to realize like when I watched her, like I've got no excuses. Like she is hitting it hard and she's just not staying in bed and thinking, oh, I'll sleep in and this won't happen. Like she's really practicing what she preaches. And I just want to insert that because I think that a lot of times you hear like a lot of talking heads and they're like, just do this. But literally Katy lives and breathes what she talks about. No one's perfect, right? Like we all have our ups and downs and whatever, but she literally lives and breathes it. So I want to just say that. And sorry for interjecting, Teresa, but I got excited.
I'm so glad that you brought it in. I'm 100% with you, Victoria, on this. And I think both of you actually live and breathe it. I mean, Katy, you're an inspiration. And we saw that day in and day out, especially at the mastermind. Victoria goes out and runs a single marathon. So You two are an inspiration for anyone who wants to set their mind to something and then turn it into reality. Now, Katy, what I want to touch on next is our participants, they learned so much over the last 11 days, or including today, 12 days. And that can also feel incredibly overwhelming. There might be a million things that they want to do. How can they identify their top priorities and then take that first step to build momentum?
Yeah, I love this question. So first off, learning a lot is a good problem to have. Like, make sure that hopefully you guys are taking notes throughout the 12 days and just like afterward reflecting on what was my biggest takeaway? What do I hope that I carry with me from this? Feel free to just brain dump everything. I go back a lot to old notes that I have from, workshops and learning experiences to reflect on those lessons, because we don't actually really learn it and absorb it until we can take those lessons and apply it to life. So in terms of actually applying and taking the action steps that I know y'all are anxious to take and ready to go, the number one thing is make sure that the actions you're taking are actually getting you closer to your goal. So a lot of people tend to have many, many goals at once. This happens a lot in the job search. Like, I want to go over here and I want to do this. It's okay to have a lot of goals, but I would think about what is your ultimate number one main focus and priority, and what is the number one constraint to getting there. That number one constraint is where you should focus your energy and effort. And the way that you can do that is think about, okay, well, what is a bold action that I can take that I know is going to move the needle? Oftentimes we know what we need to do, but that's the work that we don't want to do. So we avoid it. And then we feel bad about ourselves. The magic is in the work that you are avoiding. And I say this to myself as well. So just think about really, what is your goal? What is the number one constraint to getting there? And focus your energy there first. Put everything else on the back burner on a piece of paper so you don't have to like mentally remember that it's there. That's my best advice around prioritization.
That is huge, Katy. I love really being clear about where do I want to be. And I want to even take it a step further of, okay, at this day next year, where do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your career to look like? What wins do you want to be sharing with us next year that you achieve? And then, as Katy said, become really clear on what that goal is, where you want to be next year. And then figure out what is the number one constraints that is between now and between then, and what are the actions to take to overcome that. Victoria, is there anything you would want to add?
It's actually funny. I've been in a lot of like goal sessions this year, and I think I started 2024 with big ideas, big goals, and all the things. And then life happens and you're doing the things, but the goals aren't always in front of you. And I want to challenge professionals, because I know that I want to get a new job. I want to increase my earning potential. I want to move into a leadership position. Maybe some are like, I want to do like a little bit of a side hustle, build up on LinkedIn and do some things on the side. I want you to make sure like you keep those goals in front of you, because it is so quickly with life and all the things that we forget. And then another year comes and you're just like, what did I even do? Like, what did I achieve? And like Katy was talking about, is like tracking those things that you're doing, your activities, and really showing like gratitude and graciousness for the time that you have. So I really want professionals to think about, keep those goals in front of you and look at them often and really evaluate. Am I getting closer? Or am I getting further away? And you want to make sure, obviously, you're getting closer, but if you're not, like, figure out a way to still get there when life happens. But yeah, I mean, those goals in front of you are paramount, because I think my new thing for me personally, like, there's big goals that I have, and I'm just going to have to keep those very, very close to me and make sure that I meet those. So yeah, absolutely.
There's one thing I have to add before we move on. I'm sorry, but what Victoria said is so important, is like staying focused on those goals when things inevitably pull us off course. I was just reflecting on like, why can't we have a January 1st, like every month? That like reset time period, it's like the world slows down to reflect in a way. But the other thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about a year from now is think about who you want to be, because that version of yourself, again, going back to that identity shift. And if it's hard to do that, you can start to reframe as like, I'm the type of person who does the action you want to take. I'm the type of person who sends that bold pitch email to the CEO. I'm the type of person who, puts myself out there on LinkedIn, and make those sorts of shifts, and you will get there, and you will show up and you'll be like, wow, my life is really different.
Wow. What you both just shared is so, it really touched me and is yes, 100%. And having that vision of who you want to be, Katy, is huge. And then, yes, life will happen. And I also believe strongly in being kind to ourselves. Maybe something unexpected happens and you don't hit the goal that you had set for yourself by March. And instead of getting down and being really hard on ourselves, it's okay, life happens. How can I be kind to myself and pick up where I left off to now reach that goal that I maybe next month, a month from now? And to go deeper into that who you want to be part, I would love to bring in Victoria again from your expertise in personal branding. I wonder how mindset influences how professionals present themselves in a way that resonates with hiring teams and decision makers, but also that feels really authentic.
Yeah, I speak to a lot of professionals about kind of, putting themselves out there, and a lot of them struggle with that idea of like building a personal brand. Like one of the things that I see a lot of is that their LinkedIn is reflective of their current employers, which is like such a bad practice. It's putting all of your eggs in one basket, and you have to be able to go out there and show like who you are as a professional and the value that you can bring to any company, not just this one company. So I challenge anyone listening to this, go ahead and remove your company's banner from your LinkedIn profile. Have your experience sections, but your about is going to start reflecting you as a professional. But a lot of times, professionals feel like really weird about putting themselves out there. I think they feel like their work colleagues are going to kind of look and see what they're posting or what they're building, or their boss is going to disagree with them. Or then if they're becoming a thought leader, there's going to be some hater that's going to come out and tell them, this is not the way that you should do this. And I think it's hard. I think it's hard, like when you're putting yourself out there and your expertise, like for someone that doesn't know you or that might know you, to come out and kind of say like, you're not it, and you're not as great as you think that you are. Like professionals really feel that. But the thing I think about is, when they tell me this, like I look at their background, I'm like, CEO, okay, cool. CFO, okay, cool. Like you've been a product manager for 15 years. And the question that comes to mind is like, why are you hiding? Like, why are you hiding your experiences, your value, and what you can bring to the world? And because you're hiding, you're actually doing a disservice to others out there that you can show like the value and like what you can give to the world. Like you have so much value that just like hiding behind like this fear of I don't want to put myself out there isn't helping you. And what's going to happen is LinkedIn is going to continue to be here. We're going to move, I believe, from resumes being the thing to more of like our professional and our personal brands being at the forefront. And we already see that. Sometimes hiring managers don't even look at your resume. They look at your LinkedIn, they look at your posts. How many times have a hiring manager said to me, I see that you're a runner. I'm like, how did they know that? Well, it's because I post about it on my LinkedIn. So I want professionals to really think about like, we've moved away from this resume and hiding in the shadows. I've got to put myself out there. And literally, if you want to start today, all you need to do is just start engaging with people. Just go on LinkedIn and just start engaging with people, your peers, people that are in the same niche that you're in. Just start engaging. You don't even have to build content. Just go out there and spend a month and then think about it and see what people are posting. You're like, man, I could do better than that. I've done this for 30 years. I'm going to tell someone what I've done. Then start your first post and you'll blow people away. That's it.
That is beautiful, and a beautiful way to start putting yourself out there. Katy, is there anything you would like to add?
Yes, I do have a lot of thoughts on this. I mean, Victoria, +1 to everything you said. I think something that I want to remind people around your personal brand, and especially in the context of getting hired, is that people always want to, like a lot of my clients will be like, I just want it to be authentic. Like, I just want to be true to me. And you can be true to you, but remember that your personal brand is not all of you. Everyone on LinkedIn isn't sharing everything. Like, you guys probably don't know, like, I love electronic dance music. I don't post about that on LinkedIn. It's not part of my personal brand that much. Like,
Man,
it's not all of you. Yeah. Your personal brand, especially on LinkedIn, it's like your professional personal brand. And you get to decide, what do you want to be known for in the context of LinkedIn? So it's, again, selectively choosing to include information where you are the storyteller. Because if you don't tell the story, like what Victoria was saying around, like you've just got your, digital resume as your LinkedIn, other people will go there and they will pattern match you into boxes or into paths that they've seen in the past. So if you don't want that to happen and you want to be this teller of your story, you've got to do the telling and make that positioning to show, okay, here's what I want to be known for. And that other people don't have to think. They're like, oh, okay, I show up here. Looks like Victoria's the perfect fit for the person I need to hire here. The second thing is, if you want to start posting, please remember there is no unique message. We are all saying so much of the same things, but there are unique messengers. So what you have to say matters, and coming from you is going to be different from someone else. You don't have to come up with the most unique post. I hear that a lot. It can just feel so good to rip the Band-Aid, send your first post. You'll be proud of yourself and watch the connections flow in.
100%. Yes, absolutely. And on what you just touched on with your LinkedIn profile, what I love so much about creating LinkedIn profiles is a lot of people feel like, I wish I could just tell the hiring manager who I am so they see my value and not rely on this resume I need to submit to an ATS. Guess what? The LinkedIn profile is the place where you can do it. It's a blank canvas and you choose what you show on there. And you can tell your story. You can even include a video and put that on your featured section in whatever way you feel comfortable to tell your story. And as Katy said, the selective, yes, what is relevant to where you want to go to reach your goals. But you have that beautiful, beautiful platform with that blank canvas. So we use it and really tell your story. Now, Katy, when we talk about selective storytelling, you work with a lot of generalists. And I see that commonly too, that generalists often feel like they've done everything, but they're not a specialist in anything. What mindset traps do generalists often fall into, and how can they reframe these thoughts to see their diverse skill set as a strength?
Yeah, so generalists are experts at problem solving. And a lot of people will come to me, they'll be like, I'm not quite sure if I'm a generalist, but I feel like one. I'm like, there's no set definition. It's just people who kind of feel like, I've done a bunch of different things and I don't feel like I am completely an expert on one area. And these people often struggle in the job search because so much of hiring, in order to get hired, this is what I've learned from working with zillions of hiring teams, is you have to show that you are the highest ROI candidate and the lowest risk for them to hire you. And inherently, if you've done a bunch of different things and you're not conveying that story in a clear way, that doesn't come through compared to somebody who's maybe had that experience for X years. Now, some roles are more generalist than others, but what I hear from a lot of generalists is like, there are so many different options of what I could do. How do I pick the right one? It kind of goes oftentimes with, I don't want to pick the wrong career move. Like everybody else seems to have this figured out. Like, what if I make the wrong move? And it also causes people to kind of be in that analysis paralysis phase of not committing to a specific path. But in reality, it is so helpful. Like when you are in a role, every team wants a generalist because when you're in the job, your job description changes a lot of the time for many, many roles. Like there's a new project, we need someone to step up and lean into that. But in order to get into the role, they have to kind of see you as a specialist for the thing that they're hiring in some ways. Like, some roles are very generalist, but it's helpful to then package up your skill set into a nice little gift that you can give the hiring manager where they open the box and it's Pandora's box and they have, oh my gosh, so many skills on the team. So one of the mindset shifts I like to teach is that the right team is going to be really freaking excited that they found someone with your background. I heard this from my client the other day of like, I was feeling questioning about my background, but this founder said, I've been looking for someone just like you. You have to remember that your story is not going to resonate with everyone. If it doesn't, move on, because I fell into this trap when I was recruiting. I really wanted to work at this company. The hiring manager was just biased against my background. And that wouldn't be a good manager relationship. So you've got to find out where the teams are that are looking for you. And it's up to you as a generalist to tell that story with that selective storytelling and believe that everything is figure outable. I'm always learning and growing, and I can learn and grow in the job search as well. The other belief that you have to have is that everyone else benefits when my career is in alignment. It's not selfish to want the right next job. everyone else benefits. You can give more to the team, contribute more, and ultimately, like the final shift I'll mention, I guess here, I kind of said a lot, but the final thing is pathways thinking, which is, I don't know exactly how I'm going to get to that end state goal, but there's going to be a path there, and it's just up to me to find it. The right team is going to be really excited, and I'm going to know it's a fit.
Those are some really, really powerful mindset shifts. And for those of you who watched Day 8 with LinkedIn Editor-in-Chief Andrew 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏, you heard him say that adaptability is the #1 skill. And this is LinkedIn research. This is not just him saying it, but it's really proven that employers are looking for adaptability. That's the #1 skill employers are looking for. Now, when Katy, the way you spoke about Generalist, that is the skill they bring. They can adapt to different roles, to different challenges. That is what employers are looking for. So it can really be a huge advantage when you can display and talk about the way you've adapted in different roles, in different industries.
There's one thing I forgot to add that I think is really important here. And it's that intersection of your skills and experience actually is your edge. That is your standout brand. So when I used to work with hiring managers and we're thinking about, okay, who do we hire for this, let's say product manager role, you pull up the LinkedIn, of course, not the resume, the LinkedIn of 5 different product managers. The person who is positioned that I'm the product manager who has the specific experience that intersects with that industry, or I'm a designer, so I'm a better product manager as a result of having that design experience. Like those intersection points and controlling that narrative can really help you stand out and not just blend in from every other person who has the same background.
1000%, yes. And I see that day in and day out as well, that those intersections are often gold. That's their superpower. And knowing how to really build your brand around it can change everything. Now, we're almost going to be moving into Q&A. So this is a great time for anyone listening in who has questions. Please drop them in the chat. We want to get to as many questions as we can. But before we move into Q&A, I want to hear from both of you. If participants remember just one mindset principle from the session to keep them unstoppable, what would that be? And how can they embody it into their everyday lives? Victoria.
It's a little bit of a quirky answer. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗁, when I had met her, she had introduced or just told me, hey, you should look up David Goggins. And y'all are like, I already heard this story. Katie's going to be like, I heard it. And Teresa's going to be like, I already know that you're a fan. But, and I started like really deep diving into his books and really learning like those mindset lessons that, you know, no matter how hard it gets, you have to show up. Rain, snow, all the things, you have to show up. One of his sayings, and it's kind of funny, but he talks about the saying and it says, you don't know me, son. And as quirky as that sounds, I sometimes when I'm in a situation where I'm not feeling like I'm showing up as my brave self, or I'm questioning, like, can I do this? Or do I have the skills, etc. And even when, you know, I was in the job search and I would get, you know, interviews for roles that I wasn't really sure I was a fit for, or I just felt when the interviews like, I can't do this. The idea behind this is you have like tons of value. You have so much value. And a lot of times is we just don't think we're enough, and we're afraid to put ourselves out there. We feel a lot of imposter syndrome. And this kind of like alter ego of saying, you don't know who I am. Like, you don't know like me inside. You don't know my strength. You don't know my value. And this is something that comes when you innately start to kind of step into that character of saying like, I've got it. Like, I am tough, I am rough, and I am meant for this role. I'm meant for whatever life throws at me, and I can literally step into this and I can make it. So I want professionals, however that saying works out for you, like however you want to say it, whether it's an alter ego character that you step into for your interviews, when you're building your resume, when you're out there, you know, developing content, like step into this other side of you and know that you've got what it takes. Like, you don't have to go through job search or life feeling like you can't make it, you can't win the game. Like, really make sure that you go forward and say like, I've got this. So I actually have that bumper sticker on my car, and it's a daily reminder. You don't know me, son. I've got this. So I definitely want to hear from Katy, because she's got some blowing to do.
I have not read a David Goggins book yet, but I think it's probably about time pretty soon. So the mindset shift that I like to talk about a lot, and what I'll leave you all with, is you are the CEO of your career. And a lot of people say this. I've heard it before, but I don't think many people explain what it actually means. So when I say you are the CEO of your career, it's you taking responsibility, not your manager, not your partner. It's you, which means that you cannot outsource your career decisions. We love to ask everybody else, what should I do? Rather than just getting advice, we want to look to them to make the decisions. Can't do it. You have to decide your vision and your priorities. So what you say no to matters just as much as what you say yes. You have a limited capacity, limited focus, and it is important to figure out what are your anti-goals as much as it is your goals. And it also means that you get to set your standards and redesign what's not working for you. And I know that in the job search, especially, we can feel like, pawns on a chessboard of just like, I feel like there's so much that's out of my control. It's a reminder that there's always something more that you can do. So again, like taking that radical responsibility for your results, because what you aren't changing, you're choosing. I did not make that up, but I heard that and I was like, it hits kind of hard sometimes. But if you aren't happy with how things are going, figure out what actions can I take differently, because I'm in charge. I'm the CEO here.
Love that message, Katy, and Victoria as well, of you are in charge. No one else is gonna, if you let your career happen to you, it will happen to you, and it's not gonna get you to where you wanna go, most likely. You are in the driver's seat, and it's your responsibility to drive your career to the goals that you want to reach. Now, we've gotten some incredible questions coming through here in the chat. So let's kick it off with the Q&A. We're going to start with any recommendations on how to balance our day between personal care, meditation, social, exercising, networking, and actually applying for jobs. Whew. So how do we balance all of this? Personal care, networking, applying for jobs, especially for someone who might even be working full-time. That is a lot.
I will say that I definitely did experience a lot. I think many of my job searches, except for one of the last ones, I was working full-time, and that was a lot. That was a lot just balancing it all. And I was exhausted and I was burnt out. And I'm going to be honest with you, like there were early mornings. I woke up probably at 5 a.m. I'm not sugarcoating it. I woke up very early and I went to bed a little bit later, knowing that I had a specific strategy. So my strategy was apply to 10 roles per day that were a fit, obviously. And then each role I reached out to 10 people per role. And my time to job has been 2 months, 3 months, and 4 months, basically, the 3 different times I was in the market. Obviously, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. And after a lot of hard work, I realized that's where I belong in the world. But yes, it truly is like you have to really time block everything, and you have to say no to a lot of things. You have to understand what is most important here and what is the biggest need. And you're not going to be able to do everything. Like, don't make your life job search. Like, obviously take breaks, but for a short period, you kind of have to make a little bit of sacrifice in order to get where you're going. And it's not easy. It's not easy, but it is worth it in the end. Once you get that offer, you're like, all that hard work paid off.
Yeah, I got a +1, what you said around kind of time blocking. So one of the exercises that I recommend to my clients is creating your ideal calendar. If you use Gmail, you can toggle on an additional calendar and like color code the entire week. And you can schedule in, okay, when am I ideally going to work out? When am I going to do deep work block for batching my outreach and figuring out, okay, what are all the people I want to reach out to? When am I going to look at job boards and find new jobs? And when am I going to do my job or my freelancing? A lot of my clients are also freelancing, even though they're, in between full-time roles. So everybody has a lot of priorities. And the best way to go about it is to visually look at how are you spending your time? And it's not going to be perfect. It's an ideal calendar. I have one. Does my calendar look like that? Absolutely, it does not. But it's a good reminder when you're kind of getting off track or feeling pulled in a lot of directions of how am I setting myself up for success? And, what's on your calendar, you're far more likely to do it than if you just say like, oh, hopefully I'll work out tomorrow. We'll see. So that is probably the biggest thing. One of the phrases I like to use is close out the open tabs. So at the end of the week, I realized this a few weeks ago, I felt like my brain had a million tabs open, just like my Chrome usually does. And at the end of the week on Friday, I was like, how do I just close out these tabs? I was like, how do I just find time to do nothing for a while, not be checking my email, not check Slack or LinkedIn DMs. And I recommend that to job seekers as well, of just like find some time to just forget about what's going on for a little bit and reset at least once a week.
Those are fantastic recommendations, and I second all of what you said. And yes, knowing very clearly about what are your priorities, how much time do you want to spend on those specific activities? How much time do you want to spend on personal care? How much time do you want to spend on networking? How much time do you want to spend applying? And then putting it on your calendar. Now, the next question we've gotten is from Megan. She is asking, can you recommend how to narrow down job titles to search as a generalist? And before handing that off, I want to also mention that on day 6, I did an entire session on this, on the career clarity piece. So one recommendation is go and listen to the day 6 recording or the replay. But I can't wait to hear Katy's and Victoria's take on this.
Thanks for your question, Megan. So I can jump in here. I do work with a lot of generalists, and it is probably one of the most difficult parts as a generalist is narrowing down what to search for. And first off, I want to explain why this is important. And it's not based on just the job title. It's more like the essence of the work. So for example, if you're trying to go for product manager and customer success manager, the work, the problems you're solving, the KPIs you have are extremely different. And there's pretty much no way to tell the same story on your LinkedIn for both of those types of jobs. Now with generalist roles, there are a lot of roles, like my client yesterday was screen sharing like head of industry for something. That was like a go-to-market GM type role. Now that's a pretty niche job title, but you could find similar job description. So one of the exercises I have my clients do is go and find like 10 or 15 job descriptions that you're really excited about. And then go dump that into Claude. I like Claude over ChatGPT, but you could use ChatGPT as well. And ask it about the commonalities between those job descriptions, and then come up with your kind of target dream job description. And part of why that's helpful is because you're kind of taking the best from all of these different jobs and seeing what are the common roles and responsibility section, not just the title. And that will help you craft your story around the key skills that are important, the traits, et cetera, experience. So that's one way. I could probably talk for like days about career clarity, but that's specifically like narrowing down the job titles piece. So hopefully that helps.
Love that, Katy. We're so aligned. Victoria.
Yeah, so I also want to add in, this is why you should not be spending like so much time on your resume, because likely if you're doing some type of keyword matching, if you're not like having every single keyword and all of these job descriptions, and maybe you are targeting a couple of roles in one, and like you said, for what Katy had mentioned, like you're building a resume based upon where you're going, your job is going to be networking. That's how you're going to get interviews here. Do not, please do not rely on your resume to get you that job, especially in this scenario, because you're going to think, I need to customize my resume, I need to do all the things. Just network. You're going to make life a lot easier for you, and you're going to make your time to job a lot easier. With networking, of course, you've got to have the right messaging, all those things. And I think there was a question if that allows, we can get to that, but just make sure you network, because it's going to be paramount.
Absolutely. I'm with you. It is those conversations. Human hire humans. And it's through conversations that we learn who are the people that we want to work with. So it really comes down to those conversations. We have time for at least one more question. And let's go with this one here, right here. How can you become as a best space for being the highest ROI and lowest risk in job search for specialist versus generalist? So I take this question as, how can I show that I am the highest ROI to the hiring manager, that I'm going to be the one that if they bring me on their team, I'm going to be the biggest return on investment and not a liability or a risk?
Okay, I can start with this one.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot. So in terms of showing that you are the highest ROI and lowest risk, there's a few things that matter. And the first one is definitely not relying on your resume, like we just said, especially if you are a generalist in any way, or you are pivoting in any way, like company stage, industry, function, etc. So what this means by like the highest ROI, it's like they're paying you a salary to do a job, which means that role is open to solve company problems. All roles exist to solve company problems. So you want to show that you know how to solve those companies' problems and that you would be a better fit to do that than anyone else who is job searching. Now, the lowest risk is more about like demonstrating the value in part, but also, does this person actually want this job? Are they going to leave in 6 months? Is this actually aligned with their goals? Are they going to fit in with the team? Are they going to clash with me and my personality as the manager? Those are some of the things about risk. So some of it, that risk piece is more about character traits in a way. Some of it you can or cannot control, like what that company culture is like. But one of the best ways to showcase this value is to not wait until you have an interview. You do not have to wait till you have an interview. Make sure your resume or your LinkedIn, tells this story, but one of the biggest things I teach when I say like stand out to win in the job search, it's how do you figure out how you directly pitch yourself to a hiring manager, bring some sort of deliverable, send a Loom video, send a portfolio deck, a mini project that showcases, hey, I'm thinking through how to approach this role. And then when you do that, you take advantage of confirmation bias. I've seen this 1,000 times working with hiring managers. They don't want to be hiring. They want the next person to be the person that they hire. So if you come in, if there's a stack of resumes over here and you come in here and they're like, oh my God, dream candidate, this person's gone above and beyond. They don't care about these resumes. They want you to be the next person. So take advantage of that hiring manager's confirmation bias. And the next interviews, they're like, oh, I'm so excited to chat with this person again. So showcase how you solve the company's problems through some sort of deliverable and showcase your personality through like a video or something goes a little above and beyond. You've got to do what it takes to stand out from the noise. And most people aren't willing to do that. And that's why those people are not getting the interviews.
Mm-hmm. And I will add, I worked with a professional and he was sending me videos and great videos, great videos. But if you're sending videos, try to keep them short, 2 minutes, probably no longer than 3. That's a lot, but 2 minutes. I've had the professional for a short time use 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗪𝗔. That was something that I thought was incredible because you can add titles, you can add B-roll, which is basically like stock video, basically. So it's not just your face the whole time. It's very interactive. It's a game changer for your videos and it's super easy to do. Like literally my 8-year-old could do it. So I would recommend that. So if you are going to send it, just try to have like more engaging videos and short and to the point. I wanted to share something that I've been testing a little bit is a strategy of, you have the idea of sending the Loom videos. And if you're doing that, they have to be customized to that person. Don't have just like one random one that you send to everyone. You really need to make sure you understand the job and you can articulate your value and experiences that relate to that job description. But the other piece of it is that if you're like, I don't have enough time to constantly send videos, do your DM outreach and then give them, connect back to the job, connect back to your main experiences. And then say that you have a video that you would like to send going over customer feedback or a project that you have in mind or the UX on their website and ask for permission to send that video. And the takeaway here, time management, is you're not doing anything until they respond. So that's beautiful. So when they respond, you know that there's interest and then you send out that video. So I think that is a really good way that I think professionals can test out. Send out the video, see what your response is, and then try the email and see. Email or LinkedIn. I did see a question and just really, really quick, like if someone doesn't respond to your message right away, cast a wider net and make sure that you're not just reaching out to 2 people and call it a day. I know all of us can attest, even all the professionals watching this, is that we get very busy. If you send me a DM, I will see it, but I will be in the middle of something and then I will forget and then I won't respond. That does not mean you're being ignored. That just means that someone's busy. So make sure you've got a value-based message. You understand exactly what they're hiring for, and you follow up on that message. I like to say 3 times follow up, 3 touch points, but yeah, just wanted to touch on that.
I love that idea about like testing out the permission. I've never tried that. I typically just am like, go bold, go big or go home. But what you also said around follow-ups is really important. The other thing I see people do a lot in outreach, we just did like a teardown of this in my program the other day, was like ending your message with giving them an easy out to say, no, I don't have time to chat, especially if it's like a networking message. So you can be like, you know, I always say this, like, I'm sure you get these messages a lot, even if they're like a person on the team, they probably don't, but like, I'm sure you get these messages a lot. Do you have, 15 minutes to chat or whatever? Absolutely no worries. If not, just let me know. And giving them permission to say no, it just is just more likely that they're going to respond versus feeling like, I don't know if I should answer this person because I don't want to hop in a call with them today.
Yeah. You've got to be bold. Like Katy says, be bold.
Be bold.
It's very empowering. It's very empowering to be bold and like make these power moves and release the outcome from it. Not expecting like it has to work, but it's like, it's again, who you're becoming in the process, the type of person who says, screw it, I'm going to go big or go home. And I'm confident enough to do that. That is what helps people really shift. And that's why it works.
I love that.
Yeah. Sorry, Teresa. Yeah. And I think that there's value in this because like once you learn how to hack the DM game in your job search, you are offer on repeat. So you can hack your job search multiple times because you know how to send effective DMs that convert. And that's what you've got to learn to play the game in this job search.
That is a brilliant note to end on. And this was absolutely incredible. I know our listeners all want to follow you, connect with you, learn more from you. Victoria, where can people find you and follow you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. Just search Victoria Michaels. You'll see my image with the purple background. Just Victoria Michaels, and I post a lot about job search, and then I also post about like owning your personal brand. So it's LinkedIn, and then 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗁 is my, I guess you would say, URL. I'm not cool enough to be like building on TikTok yet, so just forget about that.
I love that, Victoria, and anyone here, you got to follow Victoria. Your content is just next level. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Katy, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
So you can also find me on LinkedIn. My handle is actually Catherine Culver. I made it a long time ago. I thought you had to use your full name to be professional. Turns out you don't. It's too late to change it now. I also write a weekly newsletter, 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃.co. So you can subscribe there. I also just launched, if you are a generalist looking for a new job, I just launched a new free course. It's like an email course. So you can get that at generalistcareerplaybook.com. I know there's a lot. If you get lost, just go to my LinkedIn. All the links will be from there.
And obviously, everyone needs to follow Katy, follow Victoria on LinkedIn. Thank you, Katy. Thank you, Victoria, for being here today and joining me.
Thank you so much.
What an inspiring session today. A huge thank you again to Victoria Michaels and Katy Culver for sharing their invaluable expertise on crafting a mindset for unstoppable career success. And your mindset is truly the foundation of every career success story. From reframing challenges to seeing opportunities and setbacks, we've learned that your thoughts fuel your actions and actions create momentum. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Career Clarity Unlocked. If you're feeling stuck in that what's next spiral and are ready to finally break free, let's chat. You can book your free career clarity call where we'll uncover what's really important to you, tackle any obstacles holding you back, and map out your best next step. Schedule your free 30-minute call today on careerbloomcoaching.com. And before you head out, be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you never miss an episode. If today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration, please leave a review. It really helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend or on social media. Your support truly means the world. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.